CMS-2 is an embedded systems programming language used by the United States Navy. It was an early attempt to develop a standardized high-level computer programming language, intended to improve code portability and reusability. CMS-2 was developed primarily for the U.S. Navy's Tactical Data Systems (NTDS). CMS-2 was developed by RAND Corporation in the early 1970s and stands for Compiler Monitor System. The name, CMS-2, is followed in literature by a letter designating the type of target system. For example, CMS-2M targets Navy 16-bit processors, such as the AN AYK-14. History: CMS-2 was developed for FCPCPAC, Fleet Computer Programming Center, Pacific, in San Diego, CA. It was implemented by Computer Sciences Corporation in 1968 with design assistance from Intermetrics. The language continued to be developed, eventually supporting a number of computers including the AN UYK-7 and AN UYK-43 and UYK-20 and UYK-44 computers. Language features: CMS-2 was designed to encourage program modularization, permitting independent compilation of portions of a total system. The language is statement-oriented. The source is free-form and may be arranged for programming convenience. Data types include fixed point, floating point, Boolean, character and status, direct reference to, and manipulation of character and bit strings is permitted. Symbolic machine code may be included, known as direct code. Program structure: a CMS-2 program is composed of statements. Statements are made up of symbols separated by delimiters. The categories of symbols include operators, identifiers, and constants. The operators are language primitives assigned by the compiler for specific operations or definitions in a program. Identifiers are unique names assigned by the programmer to data units, program elements and statement labels. Constants are known values that may be numeric. Hollerith strings. Status values are Boolean. CMS-2 statements are free-form and terminated by a $sign. A statement label may be placed at the beginning of a statement for reference purposes. A CMS-2 source program is composed of two basic types of statement. Declarative statements provide basic control information to the compiler and define the structure of the data associated with a particular program. Dynamic statements cause the compiler to generate executable machine instructions. Object code. Declarative statements defining the data for a program are grouped into units called data designs. Data designs consist of precise definitions for temporary and permanent data storage areas, input areas, output areas, and special data units. The dynamic statements that act on data or perform calculations are grouped into procedures. Data designs and procedures are further grouped to form system elements of a CMS-2 program. The compiler combines system elements into a compile-time system. A compile-time system may stand alone or be part of a larger program. Data declarative statements. Data declarative statements provide the compiler with information about data element definitions. They define the format, structure and order of data elements in a compile-time system. The three major kinds of data are switches, variables and aggregates. Switches. Switches provide for the transfer of program control to a specific location in a compile-time system. They contain a set of identifiers as switch points to facilitate program transfers and branches. The switch represents a program address of a statement label, a procedure name. Variables. A variable is a single piece of data. It may consist of one bit. Multiple bits are words. A value may be assigned in a variable definition. Variables may hold a constant or changing value. Data types include integers, fixed point, floating point, Hollerith character strings, status or booleans, aggregates. Tables hold ordered sets of identically structured information. The common unit of data in a table is an item. Items may be subdivided into fields. The smallest subdivision of a table. Allowable data types contained in fields include integer, fixed point, floating point, Hollerith character string, status or boolean. An array is an extension of the table concept. The basic structural unit of an array is an item. Array items contain fields as defined by the programmer. Dynamic statements. Dynamic statements specify processing operations and result in executable code generation by the compiler. A dynamic statement consists of an operator followed by a list of operands and additional operators. An operand may be a single name, a constant, a data element reference, or an expression. Statement operators. Major CMS-2 operators are summarized below. Special operators. Special operators facilitate references to data structures and operations on them. Program structure declarations. The dynamic statements that describe the processing operations of a program are grouped into blocks of statements called procedures. High-level input-output statements. Input-output statements provide communication with hardware devices while running in a non-real-time environment under a monitor system. Compiler Monitor System 2. CMS-2. The Compiler Monitor System 2. CMS-2 was a system that ran on the UNIVAC CP642B and USQ20. The system software included the monitor, compiler, librarian, CP642 loader, tape utility and flowcharter. MS2 monitor, a batch processing operating system that controls execution of CMS2 components and user jobs run on the CP642 computer. It provides input, output, software library facilities and debugging tools. Job accounting is also provided. CMS-2 compiler, a compiler for the CS1 and CMS-2 languages that generates object code for the CP642, L304, and UYK7, 1830A and 1218-1219 computers. During the 1970s there were different versions of the CMS-2 compiler, depending on which computer was used to compile the code. Some source code had to be rewritten to work around some functions, and the different versions of CMS-2 had problems with the debugging tools. XCMS-2 compiler, an extended CMS-2 compiler, adding language features for the AN UYK7 computer. It only generates AN UYK7 object code. CMS-2 librarian, a file management system that provides storage and access to source and object code. CP642 object code loaders. 2 object code loaders for loading absolute or relocatable object code. Tape utility, a set of utilities for managing data on magnetic tape. CMS-2 flowcharter. The flowcharter software processes flowcharter statements in CMS-2 source code and outputs a flowchart to a high-speed printer. See also ADA, AN AYK14, AN UYK7, AN UYK20, AN UYK43, AN UYK44, AN USQ17. AN USQ20. Jovial, Naval Tactical Data System, TACPOL. CMS-2Y Programmer's Reference Manual for the NUYK7 and NUYK43. October 1986. The feasibility of emulating the AN UYK7 computer on the AADC signal processing element. Dictionary of Programming Languages entry for CMS-2.